Welcome to Friday. Usually, we're eager to see Friday arrive. We've got a saying for it. Thank God it's Friday. But this particular week, the week of Passover for Jesus, Friday was not a day of expectation. It was not a day of winding down. It was a day of trials, a day of torture, a day of death. By the time Jesus has been nailed to the cross, he has been ridiculed and mocked and rejected and beaten some more, even viciously. He's been used as a plaything. He is in poor shape when they raise the cross. And then he hung there for hours. And in John chapter 19, verse 28, we see what happened at the end of this. After this, Jesus, knowing that all was now finished, said to fulfill the scripture, I thirst. A jar full of sour wine stood there, so they put a sponge full of the sour wine on a hyssop branch and held it to his mouth. When Jesus had received that sour wine, he said, It is finished. And he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. The day is growing short. Jesus' strength is gone, and he asks for a drink to fulfill the prophecy in Psalm 69, verse 21. They offer this wine that's really kind of nasty wine, says it's kind of a vinegar wine. This is what the soldiers on duty would have had to drink. This isn't an act of torment, it's an act of duty, maybe even an act of compassion for the condemned man. And then, having done that, Jesus utters a single word. It's a word that takes 3 English words to translate it, but it's one word in the Greek. The meaning of that word, it is finished. With that, he dies. What was finished? Was it his life is finished? Sure. But so much more than that. This right here, it is the climactic moment of God's redemptive plan. Everything led up to this. From Genesis chapter 3, right after the fall of humanity, God has been moving human history right up to this point. And in dying, right here, Jesus took upon himself the punishment for sin. He is the sacrifice. By submitting on the cross, we sinners could now be forgiven. God's redemptive plan has met its conclusion. Everything in the Bible from here on out, it's just sorting out what is occurring right at this moment. The innocent one has given himself. So the guilty ones, us, we could receive mercy. We call today Good Friday. The thing about Good Friday, it's a little weird. How many religions would call the day that their leader dies good? It's a Good Friday, but it's still a sad day, a day of mourning. We are not mourning for our leader, our Jesus, but we are mourning our sin that made it necessary. Those things we did that God said not to do, that rebellion against God, that is what we mourn. All the bad choices, all the weak moments, all those reasons that separated us from God. The reasons Jesus went to the cross for us. But Good Friday is also a glad day, a day of rejoicing. Yes, it's a dark moment, but in this dark moment, we receive forgiveness. We can now become God's children. We find our redemption right here, right in that moment. That's what we remember today. Jesus died for us, so that we can be forgiven and become children of God. Think on that. I'll see you tomorrow. God bless you.